Here are the stories we're covering this week in the Category 5.tv newsroom. Forget about working overtime in Japan now that drones are flying overhead, blaring the tune Auld Lang Syne. In a blow to the robot delivery industry, San Francisco officials have voted to restrict where they can go in the city. DanTDM has been named the richest YouTuber of 2017 after making more than $16 million this year alone. And we'll tell you what you need to know about a serious bug in TeamViewer for Windows, macOS, and Linux. These stories are coming right up. Don't go anywhere.
Whether you shop on ThinkGeek, GearBest, B&H Photo Video, eBay, or Amazon, or even if you want a free trial of Audible, you'll find the best deals and support the shows we produce by simply visiting the shopping sites you already frequent by using the links on our website. Visit category5.tv/partners for the full and ever-growing list and help us create more free content like this show. Thank you for shopping with our partners, and thank you for watching.
This is the Category 5.tv newsroom, covering the week's top tech stories with a slight Linux bias.
I'm Sasha Rickman, and here are the top stories we're following this week. Since World War II, Japan has been struggling with a work culture that consists of excessive overtime. To curb that behavior, one firm is planning to use drones that fly around the office blasting Auld Lang Syne to get employees to realize it's time to go home. The system, developed by office security and cleaning firm Taisei and telecom giant NTT, will see drones patrolling the office on a scheduled flight path. The drones will also record footage of what they see during the flight to identify employees who remain in the office after standard work hours. It may sound a little silly, but something must be done. A white paper released last year found that 1 in 5 Japanese people work an average of 49 hours or longer each week. From those, thousands of workers die each year, most of whom are only in their 30s and 40s. The victims die from various illnesses such as heart failure, exhaustion, stroke, starvation, or suicide as a result of work stress and depression. Of the drones, the director of the program says you can't really work when you think it's coming over any time now. So what is Auld Lang Syne anyway? It's a tune that typically plays in Japanese malls to announce that the stores are closing. Taisei will trial the system in April 2018, targeting a monthly fee that works out to about $450 for companies to use this service.
This is an interesting tactic.
This is not a Canadian problem.
a drone that is flying around with a giant speaker. I'm not so concerned about telling people that it's time to go home as what is your workload like? What's making you this workaholic, if you will? What's making you stay such long hours?
Well, a lot of it is cultural to a certain extent of just that productivity, that performance, that honor aspect of, you know, I'm a hard worker. I've got a few friends from Japan, and that's one of the things that they do struggle with is, you know, I don't want to be the first one out the door.
Right.
You know, I want to show that I'm committed to the company.
How much of that falls on the employer's shoulders, though? Like, if you have an employer who's pushing you to meet quotas and giving incentives that are unreasonable in order to make those incentives.
Well, obviously these employers aren't thinking that if they're willing to buy a drone to fly around playing the song that only plays here once a year.
Yeah.
But here's what I find interesting about it. Instead of somebody walking around saying, hey, listen, thank you for your work, get out of here, it's a drone. Like, how impersonal is that?
How big is this factory that they need a drone?
I'd like to know
Maybe it's
how,
a teeny drone.
Obviously, they're not going to listen to the drone. Like, that's just the way it's going to go. So what are they going to do? They're going to buy, like Jibby's headphones, and they're just going to pop them in your ears so you can hear something else.
Yeah.
Right?
What I find interesting is the fact that it's also going to record what it sees. So are they going to, like, is this, oh, we caught you on camera not leaving, you're suspended?
I feel...
The FOO is saying, well, these are salaried workers, but then it brings me back to, well, what if you're trying to meet quotas in order to get incentives, like a bonus or something like that? I don't know.
I feel like I would have picked a different song, like the Macarena or something. Like.
Or your way out the door.
No.
Copyrights.
Crazy. All right. In a blow to the growing robot delivery industry, San Francisco officials have voted to restrict where their robots can actually go in the city. Startups will have to get permits to use such bots, which will be restricted to less crowded urban areas. Opponents are concerned about the safety of pedestrians, particularly elderly people and children. Walk San Francisco, a group that campaigned for pedestrian safety, wanted a complete ban. A range of companies have begun trialing small robots that can deliver food and other goods. They use sensors and lasers in a similar way to self-driving cars in order to navigate their routes. Robotics company Marble, which describes its machines as friendly neighborhood robots, began testing in San Francisco earlier this year. Other companies, such as Starship and Postmates, are also keen to use sidewalks for robot deliveries. San Francisco Supervisor Norman Yee, who originally proposed a ban on such robots, has previously said that the city's streets are for people, not robots. Despite its proximity to Silicon Valley, San Francisco is falling behind other states such as Virginia and Idaho, where there are already laws permitting delivery robots to operate. So, give robots a chance.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I just feel like, well, okay, so the sidewalks obviously are going to be used for pedestrians, but how many pedestrians are there? It's not like pedestrians, I feel like, are in the minority anyway. Most people drive cars.
Even still, we're talking about a robot that is basically benign and stays clear of humans and drives at 6 miles an hour.
Well, and I have to wonder, like, we're talking sidewalks. I don't know about anybody else, but I have yet to find a sidewalk that doesn't have bumps and cracks and ledges that you could trip on, and
they're worried about the robot causing the problem?
Well, no, I'm just like, if a robot comes into an obstacle where maybe they can't get over it, how does this?
Oh, they'll get over it. No problem. Yeah, I mean, like the six-wheeled machines that they have right now, they're like the size of a cooler, and they've got 6 wheels, and they just kind of crawl up over like a Land Rover.
Huh.
No problem at all. They get up the curb, nothing.
Right. So my question is, if they already have these robots doing deliveries in the other states, have there been incidents where there's been concern? There's been
nothing that I've heard of anyways. Nothing
I haven't.
Okay.
And even if there was, like, you know, like you bump into someone on the street and you, oh, excuse me, sorry.
Right.
At least here in Canada.
I like the idea of these delivery robots. I want to know, like, do they deliver just, like, is it the mail? Because there was one that was post bots or something. There was, it groceries? So
Pizza?
somebody loads.
Medicine
love it.
for the elderly. You think about an elderly person.
them.
So take it, you know, okay, well, we're worried about the elderly folks that are walking down the sidewalk. Well, flip it over and say, what about the elderly person who can't go out to get their medicine or their groceries? And now it can be delivered by one of these robots that they just open the door and open it up and it's there.
I have an idea. I have a solution. I've got this. Are you listening, San Francisco? This is going to work. Okay, so you know how on the roads you have like a car lane and you have a bike lane on the
bike
side?
lane.
So why don't we have on the sidewalks have a little robot lane? I think it's perfect.
I think we're still trying to get into the whole bike lane thing. Not everybody's a fan of that. The likelihood of them jumping on board a robot lane before a bike lane.
But again, these robots travel at about the same speed as a human pedestrian.
See, what's interesting about this, though, is we're talking about robots that are on the ground. Everybody's talking about drone technology. Wouldn't it just solve the problem to have drones doing deliveries?
But this can handle something that's a lot heavier.
That's true.
Delivering like pizzas and full
Could
grocery
a person
orders.
stand on it?
Sure.
You should just hack the system, you pedestrians. Just stand on
Well,
the
that's
robot.
one of the fears too, is that they're worried that what if they get vandalized by, you know, because they do only travel like at a snail's pace. So, you know, what if they do get vandalized or someone breaks into them and that kind of stuff? It's another concern.
Or underground tunnels. I don't know a lot
That's
about
Google's idea.
Yeah. I don't know about the topography of San Francisco, but if you could do underground tunnels, then yeah.
Have you seen like, some of those roads?
People don't want to be walking up that there hill.
I feel like
Bring it
there's
on, robot.
probably
Bring it to me.
Yeah, I just don't feel like there's probably a lot of pedestrians out and about. I don't know. I don't see a lot of them. I am
Facts,
one of them.
Sasha. Facts.
Okay.
Cite your statements.
I've never been to San Francisco.
Everybody who's watching this on their phone while they're walking down San Francisco sidewalks is going, what? Sasha doesn't know me. That's it. I'm going to comment on YouTube.
I feel like I want one of these robots to deliver things to me. Even if I were to go to the grocery store, because it's heavy carrying the things back. And again,
Sure.
I've said that I'm I am a pedestrian. I'm not a robot. I would like to be able to just have a companion robot bring my things home with me. I would like that.
Yeah, it's about the size of like a baby carriage, and about like they call it ottoman height. So think about an ottoman, how high they are.
Yeah.
Pretty short, like knee height.
I kind of think they're perfect. Not gonna lie.
There you go. What do you think? Comment below. Let us know.
All right, we know how I feel. All right. DanTDM has been named the richest YouTuber of 2017 after making more than $16 million this year alone.
Wow.
Yeah, the 26-year-old from Aldershot, England, started off simply making videos of himself playing Minecraft and Pokemon. His face is in the corner of the screen, and he adds humorous ongoing commentary as he plays. He's got more than 16 million subscribers and more than 10 billion views of all of his videos. The YouTuber, whose real name is Dan Middleton, did not feature in the top 10 list last year. DanTDM's recent live tour included a show at the Sydney Opera House, which became the second fastest selling show in the venue's history. He started posting videos which were aimed at viewers under 10 years old. At the time, he was also working at a grocery store. Dude Perfect also made the list with about $14 million in earnings. PewDiePie dropped to number 6 with $12 million, and 6-year-old Ryan earned more than $11 million reviewing toys on his channel, Ryan Toys Review. Back in November, DanTDM said that he wasn't prepared for the fame he got from being a YouTuber. He said it is intense being a role model for young people and is something he is still learning. So, the most shocking for me is probably the fact that he does live shows. How do you...
On stage.
How do you do that? So
I think it's a lot of fun for kids because, I mean, the kids are watching the shows on YouTube. It's like when we used to watch Sharon, Lois, and Bram, or, you know, Mr. Dress Up, or, you know, any of these shows. So I went and saw Ernie Coombs in theater, and he did magic stuff, and he did the dress up thing, and he, you know, everything else that it was just fun stuff. So to entertain children. So DanTDM and other YouTubers that are focused on the child audience, DanTDM in particular is doing exactly that. He's pulling out his guitar and strumming along and making the kids sing along to a video that's playing behind him, and, you know, doing all kinds of things, doing magic tricks, doing games that are interactive with the audience.
Right, because your daughter ended up with a contest of some sort with a sketching with him. Did she not?
She was on DanTDM's show. Yeah. She's the host of the Pixel Shadow. If you go to mindtest.tv, you'll see that. But yeah, she was featured on his show.
Good on him. Like all of these people on YouTube that are doing these shows and making all of these, you know, crazy dollars. Ryan is six years old. 6. It's insane. He's just living the dream.
Well, it's funny. I mean, as much as I find this absolutely incredible, I also look at it and go, they're just doing a video and they're getting paid this insane amount of money. Like this 6-year-old kid who does the reviews, he's just opening up a box and getting excited about a toy or whatever it is. Yeah. It's his parents that are raking in the cash, because even though it's his YouTube channel, he doesn't have the legal authority to actually sign up for it.
Realistically, it's a team effort, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. But it's just... I find it so fascinating that something like just one person's video can catch on and it just goes nuts.
Yes.
We actually have banned DanTDM during the day in our house because our son is homeschooled, and we have found that there are times where it's okay, you're going to do your math and we're going to go take care of this, and we come back and oh look, he spent 40 minutes doing DanTDM videos instead of doing his online math. And it's like, okay, fine. So we have his feed blocked during the day.
Wow.
The Foo, again, in the chat room below, is commenting about how you have to be 13 years or older to have a YouTube channel.
Correct.
And so on and so forth. But keep in mind, like my daughter, we started her channel when she was 9 or 10. But it's me, it's Dad, that's setting it all up and creating the account and making sure that the nasty YouTube comments are deleted before she sees them and those kinds of things, to the best of my ability. And same with Ryan, is it's going to be his folks that are really, you know, they're the ones who are buying all the toys and making him review it. But here's the thing, he's a clever kid.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's what it boils down to. DanTDM is a clever kid. He's come up with something that's unique, and he's doing a great job of it, and he's found a niche, and he's kept it up. And
Right.
Ryan's the same. He's a funny kid who's exuberant and outgoing, and that's what makes him popular.
I would also like to point out that this all happened in 1 year, which means,
Yeah,
Robbie.
2017, that's
okay,
it.
so Ryan's a 6-year-old kid who opens boxes of things and gets super excited about it. Robbie, you are a grown kid who opens boxes of things and gets excited about them.
I want to open more boxes.
That's right. This is the way it's going to go.
That's how we get rich. We open boxes.
That's right. 2018's list. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
All right. TeamViewer has issued an urgent patch to fix a vulnerability that allows users sharing a desktop session to gain control of another PC without permission. This vulnerability affected versions of TeamViewer running on Windows, macOS, and Linux machines. TeamViewer is a popular remote support software for desktop sharing, online meetings, web conferencing, and file transfers between computers over the internet from anywhere in the world. To establish a connection between a local computer and a remote computer, the local computer requires the remote computer's ID and password to gain control over the remote computer. A critical vulnerability was publicized by a Reddit user last week, linking it to a proof of concept that was published on GitHub by a user named Jelen. TeamViewer acknowledged the existence of the vulnerability after it was publicly disclosed. The proof of concept showed how a user could modify TeamViewer permissions with a simple DLL, which controls naked inline hooking and direct memory modification to change TeamViewer permissions. The code can be used on both the client and the server side, allowing the malicious user to gain control of the presenter's session or the viewer's session without permission. Those users who have configured TeamViewer to accept automatic updates will get the patch delivered automatically. However, it could take up to 3 to 7 days for the patches before the update is installed. Those who do not have automatic updates will be notified when an update is available.
Danger.
So for anybody who's listening going, what's a DLL? Robbie, what's a DLL?
Oh, just like Robbie, dynamic linked library.
Did you say it wrong?
I don't think so. So Windows, in order to reduce resource usage, to make things load faster, uses what's called a dynamic link library. They are files that are shared among other applications. So these files can be opened by that application for certain functionality within Windows. So if one of those DLLs contains a hook, then it can be used to exploit any kind of, whatever the programmer, the hacker wants to put in there.
Okay.
Right.
Now, what about naked inline hooking? Because that sounds like something you'd see on a roller derby.
Inline hooking is like when a program, in this case a malicious program, hooks into one of those DLLs and overrides some of the bytes of the code so that it will now load something else.
Okay.
So in a function, so if, let's say, to keep it really simple, when I click the file button, it pops up the file menu. Well, that's a function. So if I can hook into that DLL that opens that file menu and make it also execute a malicious program in the background, then all of a sudden I've got something happening that is not intended by the software developer. That's kind of what's happened here. They've been able to create a hook that hooks into one of the DLLs that allows reverse access without permission.
Right.
By overwriting the permissions.
Is it always super obvious if you have TeamViewer? Like, could somebody install TeamViewer on your computer without you realizing it or knowing it?
TeamViewer is a great application for remote support. A lot of technicians use it. Sometimes, like if I'm helping you out, sometimes I'll use TeamViewer to remote in and connect and help you out. But you know who commonly uses it are those folks, the fake support callers. These are the folks that call you up and say, hi, this is Microsoft calling, and we're here to help, and we're going to remote into your computer and fix this virus that's going around and patch your computer. And some people fall for that. You may not, but some people do. Microsoft doesn't call. Neither does your bank. Neither does, they don't ask for access to your computers ever. Red flag. So when they do that, they need a tool in order to do it. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll maybe use something else, and then in the background, while they're connected, install something like TeamViewer or something else. But that's not related to this DLL issue. This is something that you just need to watch out for. Hey, this is
smart.
It gives remote access to your computer from someone else.
Right.
Yeah.
And now that it's public, right? So a lot of times when there's a problem like this, it stays kind of in the background for so long. But now everyone knows that it's there. So make sure that you update and that the patches, actually are applied to your program.
And this affects all the platforms of TeamViewer, as far as I know. So Linux users are as susceptible as a Windows user in this particular instance. So. Yep. And it's a great tool, but sometimes these kinds of things can happen, and they're quick to update it, but you need to update your software in order to get that fix.
Exactly. Thanks, Robbie. And big thanks to Roy W. Nash and our community of viewers for submitting stories to us this week. Thanks for watching the Category 5.tv newsroom. Don't forget to like and subscribe for all your tech news with a slight Linux bias. And for more free content, be sure to check out our website. From the Category 5.tv newsroom, I'm Sasha Rickman.